welcome to another episode of Tipping Points. And it's always our mission to seek truth and spread love. And through that truth, sometimes it's hard to look at, but if we don't look at it, how can we change? How can we adjust and make the world a better place? So we're always looking to seek truth, and through that truth, spread love. And over here is spreading love, Christy.
Christy Clausen.
And over here is seeking truth,
John McKeon.
and I'm just seeking love. Okay, so a lot of information, press time, and a lot of talk has gone into recently over the cake. I don't know what to call it. It's like Cake Gate.
Yes, Cake Gate was
Cake
very
Gate.
appropriate.
That's a good one.
Cake Gate. And it's this whole debate of whether or not a cake company, but of course it goes further than that, but a cake company, somebody who makes a cake, should or should they not be able to refuse anyone's business based on their moral compass as an artist, as a cake artist, that kind of thing. And I believe the company in Sisters, Oregon, lost their business.
Yeah.
They went out of business completely. I think it went to the Supreme Court, and they lost their business. They have kids. It's pretty tragic, but they come from a belief system, and I know that what I understand is they were friends with this gay couple that came in. They knew them. I wouldn't say friends, but they knew them, and they came in many times and bought cakes and bought things, and they had no problem with that. But when they were asked to make a specific cake with specific words and specific ideas on it, as this artist, he didn't want to do it because it was against his ideas, his morals, his ideas of right and wrong. And I just thought it'd be interesting to come at that at some different angles and talk about how we feel about that, because it's kind of a bigger discussion. But I'll begin by just saying, for me, I think that it's short-sighted and closed-minded to refuse business to someone who has any I shouldn't say any, but potentially any different belief system than your own.
I have an issue with that because I don't.
With what I just said?
I don't believe in this instance they were refusing business. I believe that if this couple had come in and looked and saw a cake in the case and said, "We'd like to buy this cake," I'm sure they would have been able to walk out of the store with that cake.
That's true. Not only could they have been able to, he even said that.
Okay.
You're welcome to buy any cake in here,
Right.
as it is here. But when it comes to the art that I do as an artist,
Right.
this is not something I would make and just put on my display.
Right.
And it's not something that I believe in. So you're right.
Right. So what right do they have to compel him to go against his beliefs? And whether it's discrimination or not, it might be discrimination, but it's asking him to go against fundamental beliefs that a code that he lives by, to make this cake. And by compelling him to do so, it really is, maybe it's reverse discrimination to a certain extent, because you're not honoring his beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one side of the argument. If you force him to do something, then all of a sudden you're discriminating against him as a person who holds these beliefs. Your thoughts?
Well, I disagree with what they did. I don't feel that was grounds for not doing it. I understand their moral compass. I don't feel like it's a big deal. As a business owner, I would think I would just make the cake. And I'm also fine with gay marriage, and I don't. So I guess that's where my issue is different. I don't think that it's grounds for losing a business, though, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is, does the government have the right to come in and tell you have to make a cake a certain way? Or an artist to make a painting?
Right.
For example, if somebody came to me and said, and hired me to write a song, here's money, you write a song, it's what you do, you're an artist. Write a song that says homosexuality is a sin. And I said, no, I disagree with your belief system. I don't think it's a sin. Well, you have to. You're a songwriter, and I'm coming to pay you to make it. Does the government have the right to tell me, they're coming to you, you must write that song? Or can I say, I refuse business to you because I disagree with you?
Yeah. I don't think that the government has the right to do that.
I don't either. I mean,
It
that's
seems unconstitutional, but I don't know which amendment that is. 'Cause
Well,
that
it's
is
a
more
freedom-
like freedom of speech.
it is freedom.
But
It goes under the freedom of speech category.
It
I mean,
does.
yeah. I mean, I think it's your freedom as of speech of you're being forced to say something and do something that you disagree with. So it's yeah. I think that the free market system will take care of it. In other words, if you come into if I walk into a cake if I walked into a cake store and said, I want you to make a cake that says Irish are the greatest people on earth. And the cake guy said, actually, the Irish oppressed my ancestors, and I won't do that.
If you were an Irish person that came in and asked for that cake, would this even be something we'd be talking about?
No, not.
So I guess what I'm getting at is this an issue that's a hotbed with the LGBT community,
Right.
and it gets media exposure simply for that fact. I can't answer that question, but it seems that these cases frequently are around that particular issue and that particular discrimination.
I think so. Probably it just heightens. There's so much energy around it.
But I guess what I'm trying to get is, who is creating this energy? Is it the LGBT community, or is it the people that are trying to sell their product by exposing these horrible things that are happening?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would say the LGBTQI. I forgot all the letters. It's super long.
Right.
But anyway, it's raising the issue for sure.
Okay.
It's not the people, but
So you think that community, we could talk about the community word, but that those group of people are more vocal and are pushing it farther than somebody else would?
probably.
Okay.
I think so. I mean,
Well,
like
yeah.
you said, if it were me and I walked in there, you're right. I wouldn't make it. Wouldn't even. I would I would just say, okay, that seems kind of weird, and I would buy a cake next door. The point is, the free market system will take care of this, and I
Yes.
would text everybody, all my friends,
Yeah, and say, don't buy
and say,
anything from them.
don't buy anything from them. Just
Yeah.
and it would take care of it. There's no. I just feel terrible personally. It's like I completely disagree with the people from Sisters who lost their business. I disagree. I think it's short-sighted and a person who thinks that there's something sinful or wrong with having a different lifestyle because you were made that way, you were born that way. If they think that, then they haven't thought through their spiritual beliefs very deeply. That's my opinion. But to force them to go out of business and to push your ideas upon them is discrimination, in
So
my
that's the
opinion.
same. They're doing the same thing.
They're doing the same thing in reverse.
Yeah.
I think.
So here's an exception, perhaps. So you said free market. So obviously, if I refuse your business, you can go to another cake maker. But what if there was only one cake maker? They had a monopoly.
It doesn't. Oh, you're right. That's why we need the free market system. I'm not sure the point you're making, but
Well, the point is that so I can't believe that it's okay to tell the cake maker that he's compelled to do something that goes against his beliefs unless he's the only cake maker.
that's interesting. If he was, but that's a hypothetical we'll never see.
Okay.
It's not something we'll ever have to deal with.
But I think that reinforces the idea of the free market.
Definitely. Yeah. So the guy in Colorado, and again, it doesn't really matter. Like you can say these things just to add some interest to the concept, but in a sense, it doesn't really matter. But here's some interesting facts about the Colorado guy. Okay, so the people in Sisters lost their business completely. The guy in Colorado has lost 40% of his business. So his business is still up, but because of all the media and all the crazy, he may end up going out of business. But it's interesting to note that when this happened, when this came up, when this charge was first brought against him in Colorado, gay marriage was not even recognized by the state. And yet, they were trying to force him to make the cake, even though the state didn't recognize gay marriage. Another thing is the artist also said he would not ever make a cake that was anti-gay either. Like
Okay.
if somebody came in and said, we're doing this party and we don't believe in homosexuality, right? Homosexuality is a sin. He said, I would never do that
So
either.
that takes discrimination off the table.
It kind of does,
It does,
yeah.
because it becomes, then it turns it back on personal beliefs and what are my rights as a artist to express myself in ways that I feel comfortable with.
And he also has had people come in who were having a divorce party, and he wouldn't make a cake for that.
Mm.
So he wouldn't do one that's anti-gay. He also wouldn't do one that's supporting divorce, and he wouldn't do one for the gay couple. So it just shows he's just holding to a standard he has. Whether we agree with it or not is, and I disagree with the first one, which is, but I certainly personally don't believe anybody should be forced. If they're paying the bills, it's their business, and the free market will pay for it. Will make the difference. But I do feel bad that he's lost 40% of the business. That's a huge. I mean, he's probably going to go out of business. I don't know.
So what if he charged a premium for doing the gay cake?
Then they would just go to another. They would just go to another store.
I'd be happy to make that for you. It's going to be $2,000.
Yeah, we'd be having the same conversation, obviously.
Okay.
That would be
Well,
brought to court as well.
I guess, the business owner should have the right to refuse service to anyone. I don't agree at all. I feel that it's discriminatory in a way, but then at the same time, there's a line in the sand. So what if you say, I want to kill somebody on the cake? Or,
Right.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
there's a line in the sand where I guess you do need to find your comfort level, your morals that you're going to stand up to, but I just disagree with that.
So if the
and
shopkeeper-
with the gay marriage aspect,
If the shopkeeper had said, "Oh my God, you're gay, get out of my store," then that would clearly be discrimination.
Right. This is what this has come down to is it's like I say, the metaphor of artistry. He said you can buy any cake in here, you can do anything you want, but I can't put that.
I'll make any cake for you. But it doesn't go against my
It doesn't
beliefs.
go against my beliefs, but I'm not going to make one from scratch. Just like I wouldn't write a song that was anti-gay. I wouldn't do it.
So what if I had a rifle I wanted to sell, and a Muslim came to buy it? I said, "I think you might be a terrorist. I'm not going to sell you this weapon."
I think you have the right to refuse business to anybody
Okay.
you want. If you,
Clearly discrimination.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you see signs? And I just, my opinion is, and you see the signs everywhere. We refuse the right to give service to anyone. You don't need a reason if you pay for that. That's my personal belief. If you make the payments, you built the business. However, you're gonna pay for it in the end because the reputation's gonna come out. You're gonna get bad press, and people are gonna, you're just gonna go on Facebook and say, "Don't ever go to this place because they won't make cakes for Irish people."
If the Supreme Court upholds the ruling, and it's found that this person was discriminating, is that the first step towards socialism?
I think so. Well, that's the thing. That's the slippery slope. We all have to be careful.
We have to be very careful about. In a free society, that line is really hard to determine because I have my beliefs, and it's how I express those that determines whether I'm discriminating. I can think all day long with discriminating thoughts. It's when I act upon them that I potentially cross that line. And where we draw that line is really the slippery slope. It's where the courts may have a right to help us figure that out.
Yeah, maybe. It is a really interesting. I mean, it's a difficult and challenging concept because there are bigger ramifications here, and but like I said, my belief is the market will take care of it. The government doesn't need to get involved. As soon as you decide not to give your services to anyone for any particular reason, that person just is going to tell everybody.
right?
And
it's a slippery. I feel like it's almost more of a slippery slope having the government determine what we can and cannot do.
that's much to me.
Takes
That's
away the free enterprise
Right.
system.
that's much more of a slippery slope.
So I think you've nailed it. I mean, the free enterprise system is the lever that we can use to change societal views.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you don't like the way I do business, I go out of business.
That's correct. And Yelp and nowadays,
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything with social media.
I mean, it's even
Yeah.
bigger now than it ever was. But with social media, oh my gosh, you're everything you do. It's almost like the world knows. If you got a stale roll, at a restaurant. I'm serious. People are gonna go, this roll was stale.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go, poof, and then some people aren't gonna come. I like my rolls fresh, man.
So don't take it to court, take it to the tweet.
Take it to the tweet. I think we just came up with this, the truth here, really, and I actually mean that. It's that, take it to the tweet, take it to the Facebook. This will be taken care of.
So can we flip this around?
Yeah, let's flip it.
Oh!
Shake.
So my flip on this is that it's a really good thing to have this discourse and this conversation.
Yes.
The time is now, and the time is right for us to really, having this conversation allows a person who may have made that decision to think about it before making the decision. So I'm not making it emotionally, I'm making it from an intellectual standpoint. And so I asked myself, what would I do? And that decision is made before I'm faced with the fact.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it gives me a chance to really search inside my consciousness and to question my decision.
Yeah, and that, and what we've all come up with just now too is that we really we have so much power. If we feel that we haven't been treated well or whatever, we have a lot of power.
Well,
Today more than ever.
Right, absolutely. There's been so many interesting examples about how just one single person has such a huge voice now, like megaphone, because of social media.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of times that voice is insane. and the other thing we have to do is decipher through that. But most of the time we get good information, and even the crazy information, there's so much information, we all have to look at it and decipher through it and decide how we feel. But the conversation that we're having, I'll piggyback just a little bit on what you just said. The conversation that we're having, and so many conversations that are being had right now, sometimes I think people today feel like, oh my gosh, it's so terrible. Like all these terrible things are happening because of all the conversations and the emotion behind them. But oh my gosh, the truth is, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, what would happen if a gay couple wanted a kid? They would not get one anywhere.
no, and we've come
The
so
progress
far.
is amazing.
It's amazing, yes. And I don't even know how many states allow gay marriage, and I think every single one should. So.
I think it's on the way.
Yeah, so I know the progress is phenomenal, and
Yeah.
we should celebrate those.
We need to celebrate that. And there's so often when you engage with the news and what's going on social media, it's like, it almost feels like a bunch of crybabies.
Yeah.
Just crying about how terrible things are. They have, without any historical context. And the conversations that we're having, this one, and microaggressions have become a big topic in the world today. Why is that? Well, one of the answers is, and I believe it's because we're getting, so many of the big things have been tackled, that we're getting down to these nitty gritties.
Yeah.
We're getting down, and people are extremely emotional about the nitty gritties. On some college campuses, the idea is you're not allowed to ask somebody where they're from. It's a microaggression. I find that crazy. and that it actually reflects how far we've come. It's like, how can that even be an issue? It's because we've dealt with so many, we're doing so well on so many big issues that it's coming down to these little things, and there's so much emotion behind them. And boy, you don't have to go back far in history at all to find some really big issues.
Well, I think that even if it seems like it's a small issue, if it affects a large enough percentage of the population, it is a big issue. Even if it
In a small way,
even
yeah.
if it seems trivial, but if it's impacted thousands or tens of thousands of people, I think it is a big thing.
It could be a big, my argument is, it's a big thing with the numbers of people, but the issue itself is not affecting them when they walk out the door every day. It's not affecting them in big ways. Like me asking you where you're from, if that emotion triggers you.
Well, it could be a trigger for some people.
Well, that's the problem with trigger. It's like, there's people who get triggered by almost anything.
Right.
And bringing the government in to try to mandate that and regulate it is really slippery.
Yeah, it's getting so bad that I don't even want to go and have meetings with people anymore. Because of the danger of like behaving in a way that they think is inappropriate, even though you have no bad intent.
Right, and that's what I mean. It's like we're getting so into this nitty gritty that it reflects how much progress we've made. And now that we're in the nitty gritty, we need to in my opinion,
So-
be careful not to get too emotional or too taken away with it and feel like everything's unfair and everything's so bad.
Yeah. So I was in a meeting and somebody said Kim said, we didn't know who Kim was, and another person used a male pronoun to describe Kim. So it said he did this, or he did that, and it triggered somebody in a really profound way. Like, how do you know Kim's a man? It's like, well, that's a good point. but how far does this go?
Yeah. So excellent. I think we really came to a really empowering and wonderful and great conclusion on this subject.
Yeah.
And just realizing how much power we have, how much the free market system, and what a voice we have right in our hand with our phone or whatever, just to send a message out. So all I can say is if you go into a cake shop and they won't make something for Irish people,
Yeah.
turn around, get out, and send something out on Facebook right away. So thanks for being here with us. I hope it was empowering for you too, and we will see you next time.
If you're new to YouTube, then let me explain. You gotta give a thumbs up, that's how we play the game. You see, the more thumbs up a video gets, the more the powers that be distribute the video for others around the world to see. Next to subscribe button, there's a little bell. You gotta click on this little guy as well. Then only then will YouTube inform and let you know that